Turning to some trending news south of the border, it's election day in the U.S. Today's trip to the polls isn't as explosive as the election day that's coming next year, but political analysts say some of the key races could foreshadow what lies ahead. All this as Republican nominee frontrunner, former U.S. President Donald Trump, had a showdown in a New York courtroom on Monday.
All right, line them up. It's election day.
Voters in several U.S. states head to the polls today for off-year elections. Among the key races to watch, in Ohio, residents will determine two ballot measures, one that would create a law legalizing marijuana, the other that would enshrine the right to abortion in Ohio's constitution. Over in Kentucky, Democratic Governor Andy Beshear is running for re-election against GOP challenger Attorney General Daniel Cameron. And then there's Virginia, where voters will decide the balance of power for both chambers of state government. The results of today's elections could be indicators on where the public stands on key issues leading into the 2024 presidential election.
Well, I think Virginia is going to tell us send the most important signals about 2024 because Kentucky, Mississippi, deep red states, kind of anomalous situations, whether or not Democrats can hold the governorship. Virginia, I think, actually encapsulates a lot of the dynamics, a lot of the ingredients we're going to see in 2024. It's a state that Joe Biden won by 10 points, but he's underwater with more people disapproving than approving of his job performance in most recent polls.
New polling from the New York Times and Siena College shows former President Donald Trump is leading President Joe Biden in 4 swing states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, and Nevada. Trump, despite his legal challenges, is the Republican Party's frontrunner in 2024. He spent the day yesterday in a showdown with a New York judge, spending nearly 4 hours on the stand in his civil fraud trial.
It's a scam, and this is a case that should have never been brought, and it's a case that now should be dismissed.
Trump leaving court after testifying in an attempt to defend his real estate businesses, repeatedly claiming that he's done nothing wrong.
And I think you saw what I had to say today, and it was very conclusive. Everything we did was absolutely right.
While on the stand, Trump continuously clashed with Judge Arthur Engoron, at one point saying, "I'm sure the judge will rule against me because he always rules against me." The judge responding, "You can attack me, you can do whatever you want, but answer the question." In another testy exchange, the judge had to instruct Trump's defense attorney, Chris Kise, to control your client, adding, "This is not a political rally." Trump's conduct has become a flashpoint in the trial.
You have a racist attorney general who made some terrible statements.
Even before he took the stand, Trump took aim at New York Attorney General Letitia James, later calling her a political hack in court.
He rambled, he hurled insults, but I will not be bullied, I will not be harassed. This case will go on.
Trump's testimony follows the appearance of his adult sons, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, last week. His daughter Ivanka Trump is slated to take the stand tomorrow after she dropped an appeal to the judge's ruling requiring her testimony. For more on this, we're joined by cultural critic and professor of English and Cultural Studies at McMaster University, Henry Giroux. Thanks for speaking with us, Henry.
Oh, it's a pleasure, always.
What do you make of Trump's outbursts during his testimony and his behavior at trial overall?
I think it's symptomatic of both who Trump is and what we're going to expect in the next few years. It's all about drama. It's about performance. It's about theater. It's the emptying out of politics into entertainment for political gain. And it strikes me as enormously dangerous in terms of what it suggests. But what is particularly important about this is that, the press talks about the drama. They talk about, his manners. They don't talk about the case. So, it really overrides in this particular case, the most important issues of all, that he lied, he's inflated his assets, he cheated bankers, he's cheated the insurers. All that gets lost in a politics that's almost entirely a spectacle, emptied out of any substance and meaning. And, as you can well imagine, I think that's dangerous. I think it's indicative of what's to come in the upcoming year before the election. This is not about Trump simply being a drama queen. This is really about Trump imitating something that we saw in fascist governments in the 1930s. The attempt to use the spectacle to lie. to distort the truth, to divert attention away from issues that really matter, and to basically entertain a public that's less concerned about civic justice and democracy than it probably is about simply being entertained.
Will the outcome of this trial impact Trump's chances of securing the Republican presidential nomination?
No, not Trump has the nomination. There is no way I can imagine Trump losing this nomination. To who? Ron DeSantis? The other side of this, of course, is, I mean, there are people who are claiming that if he's actually indicted in the court cases in the upcoming months, he may lose some support. Trump is going to win the nomination. I personally believe that there's no chance of him not winning that nomination.
New polling showing Trump jumping past President Joe Biden in several key swing states. Why do you think Trump is gaining ground and Biden losing?
I think Biden has a terrible public relations machine, first of all. I think that Trump has basically inundated the media with what I call ocular politics, a politics of the image. I think that what we're seeing now is the power of the new media, these new technologies, and everyday life, and of course popular issues being put together in a way in which politics has taken a terrible turn for the worse. And I don't think that Biden, in a sense, understands and is willing to fight yet against what the real issues here. The real issues are fascism. I mean, the possibility of an authoritarian state. The real issue is letting people know what he's done for the country. The real issue is being able to expose Trump for the enormous threat that he represents, not just to the United States and to Canada and to other countries, but to the globe in general. I don't think Biden has taken him seriously enough, but I think that in 6 months, Biden's going to have to make a serious decision about whether to step down and allow somebody else to emerge who basically can win over Trump, or they're going to have to change their tactics dramatically.
You mentioned changing tactics there. What could Biden do to gain back some of his support?
I think there are a number of things that Biden can do. I think that he could begin to talk about the question of inequality in the country. I think he could talk about the need to not allow the Republican body to eliminate women's reproductive rights. That's going to be stressed. I think he's got to talk about climate change. I think he's got to talk about the social contract. I think he's got to talk about the enormous threat, Matt, on Social Security and the social welfare state. I think he's got to talk to people who would support Trump to let them understand that they have more to lose at the level of everyday life, at the level of basic needs, than they do if Biden is elected president. And if anything, he might at least be able to preserve those issues.
That's Henry Giroux of McMaster University in Hamilton. Henry, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it was my pleasure.